Hello, everyone. So in our last set of notes for the year, we are going to learn about mythology. Now, it's just going to kind of be a survey, a basic overview of mythology, but nevertheless, it's a fun unit, in my opinion, especially once we get our notes done, because then we just start messing around with famous myths and doing mini projects and things like that. So just so you know, this is the first time we've done fill in the blank notes all year, but you should just follow along with me, follow along with the PowerPoint. They are digital, so you're going to have to do split screen, and you're just going to follow along, and it's just word for word. The same exact words that you see here are the same things that you will see on the Google Slides. The only big difference is that this you're filling in blanks. Okay, now we're going to come across 4 videos as we go through, and you're to summarize each of those videos right here. This should probably take us through Wednesday, and then Thursday we're going to start working after the SOL on certain myths. So without further ado, what is mythology? Mythology are stories or legends belonging to a particular culture or religious tradition. Their purpose to explain natural phenomena, to teach moral lessons, to entertain, and to preserve cultural values. All of these were reasons why the people before us created these myths. Now, gods and goddesses were supernatural beings who worshipped in various cultures and religions, often controlling specific aspects of life and nature, such as the weather, such as love, war, the sea. Now, deities, general term for divine beings, including all gods and goddesses worshipped in various cultures. So there wasn't just one god back then. There were many different gods, and they used those gods to explain essentially how the world came to be. So mythology can be broken down into 4 main types. There are creation myths, there are heroic myths, there are nature myths, and there are moral myths. These are the 4 main types that we will see. Now, with creation myths, they explain the creation of the world and humanity. Now, you can watch this from Gaia and Uranus and see how the world was created as far as the Greeks were concerned. Okay. Now, after the video, you were to write a 3-sentence summary explaining what you saw in the video, what you learned about in the video. Our second type of myth, heroic myths, these introduce stories of heroes with extraordinary abilities or qualities. Probably the most famous hero that we know of is Hercules. Another hero I can think of is Achilles. Anyways, watching this video, same idea, writing the summary of Hercules myths. Now, nature myths, they explain myths that describe natural events or natural phenomena. Now, Demeter and Persephone explaining the seasons, right? Because of these two, and we'll throw Hades into it as well, we have the 4 seasons according to Greek mythology. And then our final one, moral myths. Not to say that they all don't teach morals, because I feel like they do, but these ones really nail home the morals, especially here with Narcissus. So they teach moral lessons, teach values such as honesty, loyalty, bravery, and wisdom, guide behavior and decision-making. Now, you can kind of see some of these, all 4 of these things kind of come across in our world. We just explain them differently, okay? Now, to jump into the 4 main myths that we study. So Greek, Roman, Norse, and Egyptian. Most of the time we really just look at Greek and Roman. Greek and Roman are probably the most well-known. And then there's a little bit of Norse that we know. Egyptian's probably the least well-known. So when we look at Greek mythology, a collection of, with moral and nature, make sure that you are watching both videos and summarizing each of those stories. Now, Greek mythology is a collection of stories and legends created by the ancient Greeks to explain the world around them. These myths were essential to the ancient Greek religion and culture, influencing art, literature, and daily life. Now, here are the key gods and goddesses. There are way more, and it's kind of crazy when you look really into Zeus and all of the children that he fathered. And then some of the famous myths, nowhere near all of the famous myths, but we have Pandora's box and Odysseus' journey. Odysseus is a very famous person, especially in the Odyssey, where he's coming home from the Iliad War. Iliad, doesn't matter. Point being, it's a crazy journey, but it's a long poem. It's written in Greek, and it's not the easiest thing to understand. But when someone breaks it down, gives you the cliff notes, it's super fun and super entertaining. You'll probably read something like that in high school. They usually give you some type of epic myth, either Odysseus, the Odyssey, the Iliad, the Aeneid, rarely, but maybe, or Beowulf. I hope you don't get Beowulf. it's not as interesting. But anyways, moving on. Roman mythology is very similar to Greek mythology. While heavily influenced by Greek mythology, Roman mythology, because the Romans kind of came after, has its own unique elements and deities. The Romans often adopted and adapted Greek myths, giving their gods Latin names and infusing their stories with Roman values and characteristics. So, for example, instead of Zeus, we have Jupiter. Instead of Hera, we have Juno. Instead of Ares, we have Mars, so on and so forth. Is it Ares? Yeah, Ares isn't up here. God of War. And then famous myths as well. Aeneas' journey of the Aeneid. Like I said, this is a possible story that you might get. Very similar to the Odyssey. Now, fun fact, the Romans borrowed many myths from the Greeks, but adapted them to fit Roman culture and values. Hercules was admired in Rome, and his myths were adapted to emphasize his role as a protector and a symbol of strength and endurance. This is a fun fact about Roman mythology. Now, Norse and Egyptian, a lot of people love Norse mythology, especially if you've ever played the game God of War. You know a lot of, well, it starts off Greek and then it moves into Norse. Who knows what will go next? The body of myths of the North Germanic people is preserved in the Prose Edda and the Poetic Edda, which are collections of Old Norse writings. Norse mythology is rich with gods, goddesses, giants, and mythical creatures, often revolving around themes of heroism, fate, and the end of the world. So, some of our most famous ones, Odin, Thor, Loki, Freya, these are the ones that you've played the new God of War, you've seen them, you've heard of Ragnarok. Don't ask me to say that, okay? Although I think we have a student, Bell 3, he was showing me some Norse the other day, maybe he could say it for us. Okay, moving on. I don't want to say his name on the video, but you know who you are. Moving on into Egyptian mythology, which is our last type of mythology. The myths were integral to the ancient Egyptian religion and were preserved through temple inscriptions, papyrus texts, and tomb paintings. The myths were deeply connected to the Egyptians' understanding of the cosmos, the afterlife, and the natural world. Now, Egyptian is the one that I know the least about, but I know who Ra is, I know who Osiris is, Anubis, Horus. I really know a lot of these, mainly from watching the movie The Mummy and the sequels to The Mummy. But anyway, neither here nor there. Finally, did you know mythologies from different cultures around the world often share common themes? These recurring themes reflect the universal human experiences, values, and questions about the world. So good versus evil, hero's journey, the power of fate, cycle of life. And honestly, a lot of these themes have kind of translated to our world and our time. And so with that, right, we want to turn and talk. What are some modern examples of books, movies, or brands that have been influenced by ancient mythology or that you think have been influenced by ancient mythology? And why do you think mythology continues to be popular and influential? Like, why do we think it's cool? Like, I think it's fascinating. I think it's super exciting. So most likely we will not all be here at the same time. So what I want you to do is it's at the very end of your notes, right? You will write out what you want to say here, and then tomorrow or the next day, whenever we are all done with the videos, that's when we'll talk about this and kind of as a table group come up with our own ideas. So guys, this was our last video of the year. I hope you've enjoyed my videos, and from the looks of things, I will be seeing some of you next year. I hope you're excited about that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. We're going to move into mythology assignments after these notes are done. All right, bye everybody.